Tragic highway shooting played out last year on an Oakland freeway. KTVU's Brooks Giroux joins us now from the newsroom with what evidence helped link these gang members to the crime. Brooks.
Well, just hours ago, we heard from Jasper Wu's father. We also learned investigators relied on eyewitness accounts, shell casings, surveillance cameras, and other evidence to piece this case together. Now, while they're not revealing additional details in what led up to these arrests, the CHP and the district attorney say those responsible will be held accountable.
After 13 months of investigating, 3 gang members are now facing murder charges for a stray bullet that hit and killed toddler Jasper Wu on an Oakland highway.
It happened because 2 rival gangs were having a rolling gun battle on Highway 880 going northbound.
Alameda County District Attorney Nancy O'Malley says Trevor Green and Ivory Bivens, part of the Chopper City criminal street gang, were in a dark Infiniti shooting in the middle of the afternoon at a Nissan Altima. Inside, rivals Johnny Jackson and Keeson Lee of the Eddie Rock gang. The DA says the 23-month-old was in his mom's car, asleep in a car seat, when a bullet came through the front windshield and hit him in the head before becoming lodged in the seat. He tragically died.
The horrific nightmare for the Wu family and their baby being killed is in such a senseless and violent manner can never be reconciled.
Investigators say spent cartridges and casings were found on the freeway, fired from an automatic weapon. They say Lee admitted he was shot in the back and showed up at the hospital. The Nissan recovered, providing more evidence.
To those who use the state's highway system as a place to commit shootings and other acts of violent crime, know this: the CHP will not relent. We will go to any lengths within the law to find you and to hold you accountable for your actions and to bring you to justice.
Green, Bivens, and Jackson are charged with murder, shooting at an occupied vehicle, and felons in possession of a firearm. Lee was just shot dead in November in a drive-by shooting in East Oakland. The arrests came as a surprise to the Wu family, his father joined by an interpreter.
At some point, they thought that it's about time to give up. But then when they hear about this, they were so excited, happy, but also very sad. So I know that the family had a fair share of crying again, but one thing they would love to see is to bring closure to the family.
An emotional time for the Wu family. Those 3 suspects are expected to be arraigned tomorrow. In the newsroom, Brooks Giroux, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Such a tragic loss, but tonight, nice work by investigators to get those 3 individuals into custody. All right, Brooks, thank you.
23-month-old Jasper Wu was a happy toddler, simply riding on the freeway with his mother and his cousins. Unfortunately, the ride would end in tragedy, as Jasper was shot in the head by a stray bullet as the result of a gang shootout by 4 men. This is his story. Welcome to Cold Cases. Be sure to subscribe and stay safe. This shooting originally took place on November 6, 2021. However, the men who did this crime were not charged until a year later in December 2022. Jasper and his family were going back home, driving on the freeway to Fremont from San Francisco and traveling in the southbound lanes of the highway. While Jasper was sleeping in the car seat in his family's white Lexus, a stray bullet went through his head, and although he didn't die immediately, he was rushed to a nearby children's hospital and pronounced dead just a few weeks shy of his 2nd birthday. His mother, who was driving, was able to stop their car near the Broadway exit, and his other 2 cousins were also in the car and not hurt. His mother had this to say after the arrests.
Finally, some answers 1 year later. Tonight, the mother of little Jasper Wu talks with KTVU about the shooting death of her 23-month-old son and the suspects now facing murder charges. That little boy killed by a stray bullet was caught in the crossfire of a gang shooting, say prosecutors. Good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Holmes.
And I'm Christian Cafton. His mother sharing her pain and reaction to the arrests of 3 suspects. KTVU's Amber Lee joining us now live here in the studio after sitting down with Jasper Wu's mom. Amber, an emotional time for the family.
Absolutely, Christian. The little boy's mother tells me she wants to remember her child during happier times and that the past year has been a long one as the family waits for justice.
放下。 No.
Videos and photos of Jasper Wu offer some comfort to his mom, Xiao Xiao. But nothing erases the memory of having her only child shot and killed 13 months ago while riding in the car she was driving.
躺在这里，外面。
She tells me her baby was awake, sitting in the back seat when a bullet came through the front windshield and struck him in the head. She says Jasper would have turned 3 on Wednesday, December 14th, the same day she received news that 3 gang members, including Johnny Jackson, are now facing murder charges for the death of her son.
伤心的就是。
Mom spoke to me in Mandarin with the help of a translator.
She's happy, but very sad because she has to live through it over, again, of the whole thing.
So good afternoon.
On Thursday, the Alameda County District Attorney and the California Highway Patrol announced that 3 people had been arrested and that a 4th suspect was shot and killed just last month in a drive-by shooting in East Oakland. Xiao Xiao says the suspects are repeat offenders and Jasper would still be alive had they been held accountable for previous crimes. She's concerned the suspects will be released again. Xiao Xiao tells me she wants the suspects to receive life in prison without the possibility of parole. She says she feels fortunate that there have been arrests in Jasper's case, but her thoughts are with the families of other homicide victims in cases that remain unsolved.
Arrested, but there's so many others still out there, not as lucky as they are, and people are still out there on the street, possibly even hurting others.
Mom tells me she copes by looking at videos and photos of Jasper. DA Nancy O'Malley tells me all 3 suspects are now being held at Santa Rita Jail. They are being held with no bail. Christian?
Amber, thank you.
The 4 men who had a hand in this killing are Trevor Green, 22, Ivory Bivens, 24, and Johnny Jackson, 28, with the 4th suspect, Keeson Lee, died in an unrelated drive-by shooting months later. It is alleged that the bullet was fired by either Trevor Green or Ivory Bivens, who were chasing down Johnny Jackson and Keeson Lee in an alleged rolling gun battle that spilled onto the Oakland interstate, the Alameda County District Attorney's Office said. The 2 groups of gang members were allegedly shooting one another from their cars on the northbound side of Interstate 880 around 2 p.m. that afternoon. A bullet from Green and Bivens' car missed the Nissan Altima carrying Jackson and Lee and traveled across the highway into oncoming southbound traffic, with the bullet smashing through the windshield and striking the toddler in the head. The pair was traveling in a dark-colored Infiniti G35 when they started shooting at a Nissan Altima, occupied by Jackson and Lee. Jackson and Lee are members of the rival gang, Eddie Rock, also out of San Francisco, documents allege. Lee, who was the suspect that later died, was the suspected driver of the Nissan. He was shot in the lower back during the shootout and went to Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital and Trauma Center that afternoon for treatment. That's where officers recovered the Nissan, riddled with bullet holes and a spent shell case inside the car, officials said. While receiving treatment at SF General, his hands were tested for gunshot residue, which turned out to be positive. Lee was interviewed and admitted to being shot on the freeway, District Attorney Nancy O'Malley said. Green, Bivens, and Jackson were charged with murder, shooting at an occupied vehicle, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Green and Bivens also face additional charges of conspiracy to commit a crime and criminal street gang conspiracy, with the arrests coming as a surprise to the Wu family. They thought it was about time to give up, said Carl Chan, who spoke on behalf of the family. When they heard about this, they were so excited, happy but also very sad. They would love to see closure. What happened to this poor child in result of senseless gang violence is atrocious. May his family finally have some closure. Gang violence is very destructive, and in a case like this, you might end up getting yourself or someone else killed. More videos about missing person cases, cold cases, and true crime cases are on the way. Be sure to stay safe and we'll see you next time.